All right, so we're back here on another Couch Coach Live. It is another Tuesday edition of Couch Coach Live. We are here. We're going to start our NBA, continue with our NBA preview tonight. We'll talk about the Western Conference. I got my guys from the Hoopers Pod, my guys Fresh and John. What's going on, fellas?
What's up, bro? How you feeling?
Yes, sir. I'm good, man. And I got my boy JB in the building. What's going on, JB?
Not much. What's good with you?
Nothing much, man. Same old, man. Just maintaining it, fellas. Just another great day to talk, So, we could talk about the Western Conference, but there was a development today that that was kind of an interesting thing with the Greek Freak signing the 5-year Supermax deal. So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go to you first, JB. Your thoughts on the Greek Freak getting that Supermax?
I was really surprised that I wasn't surprised that he signed back. I thought he was going to do something like maybe like a 2+1, but I didn't think he was going to do the full 5 years. I'm actually very shocked that he did the full 5 years. I think that he was very conflicted. Like he obviously loves being in Milwaukee and he loves playing there, but it's been 2 years in a row of him being the first seed and not even making it to the finals. So, I thought his patience was starting to wear thin, but apparently them getting Drew Holiday and management probably appeased him enough for him to sign the 5-year contract.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with you first, John. Your thoughts?
I was same here. I was surprised he signed for that long because I think he kind of wants his options open. But I think when you sign contracts that long and the pressure builds up over the years, this year we want to see him go to the finals, but he can't get put out in the second round again. Yeah. So eventually it's like, when do you get there? And does it become a Kevin Garnett situation instead of a Kobe Bryant situation? Whereas, y'all's right there on the edge of winning the championship, whereas Kevin Garnett, you're not getting out the first round and spent your whole career and almost the end of your prime in one place and never really had a fighting chance. So it's a tricky one. Like in 3 years, 5 years is a long time from today. He go on out the next year, and that's a lot of money to be trading for.
Yeah. and the good thing about it, he can't. He has a it's really he can opt out that 4th year, so that could be a team option. But yeah, so Fresh, your thoughts?
I saw a report on it was talked about a couple of weeks ago that he was leaning towards signing the deal. So I wasn't really completely shocked. I think in his mind, if it works out, he would want to finish his career in Milwaukee. And I think $230 million is a lot of money to turn down. So
yeah.
After 2 years, they go at it again. I think he give him 2 years, and if it's not going how he want, he can ask for a trade. So I wasn't completely shocked, honestly. 5 years, $228 million. That's a lot of money. This guy once sent out so much money home that he couldn't afford a cab to the game.
I know, right? Isn't that something?
That's a lot of money to turn down, especially because, and I think I do think Milwaukee tried to get better, adding Drew over the fall or whatever. Right. So you try to compete, and if you don't like what you see, he can ask for a trade. We've seen it happen before. So.
Yeah, and that's true too. Where it was funny, like the timing of it, because it happened like at 2:30. We were, it was kind of like somewhat of a slow day.
Right,
we were like, so then I'm like, wow, that's one thing, but it's a good thing for the league, I think. And that's something we talked about a few weeks ago, JB. We talked about like as far as like small market teams kind of not having advantages, as far as not having those type of situations where now we got a guy who we think at least going to be there for the next 4 years, who almost hitting 30.
Right.
In Milwaukee, which that's a great thing to have, where you have your 2-time league MVP is in Milwaukee. Is in freaking Wisconsin, which is a great thing for the league, and I think it's just it let and this is a situation where it's just a great situation for the league where you have arguably one of your best players and one of the smallest markets in the league, so that definitely gives hope to other smaller market teams going forward, and just and it could be just a catalyst because it's weird how the NBA is, because it used to be. It's weird because this could be a trend where guys want to stay. If they look at these type of things, because we looked at guys say, well, I want to go to a big market. Back in the days where markets in a sense kind of mattered more so than the advent of the internet.
Right.
Then you got guys now like I hate to say this, and I want to kind of put this on LeBron, but the player movement, as far as guys bouncing from team to team, and trying to form these super teams, which that's nothing wrong. That's
it's fair.
It's fair. Yeah. But in the same token, that looks like that's a trend as well. And then maybe this could be a start of another trend where you see a guy like other guys being just like Giannis, where you're like, okay, well, I just stay here for. I'll stay here. And hopefully the team can get better around me. Right. So, if you're looking at, just from a standpoint, you're hopeful in Oklahoma where you got Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, you got him, and then Zion and New Orleans, so and Ja in Memphis, and you like those type of situations where it's like maybe those guys can follow those suits going forward, and it's encouraging. Especially in this day and age, to have a guy like that to stay. So, it's definitely encouraging.
Oh, yeah. And I would add one more thing. I think the length of the contract also tells me that Budenholzer is probably on an extremely short leash this year.
Yeah.
If they get off to a slow start, or if, let's say, they get the first seed again and they don't make the finals, this leads me to believe that Budenholzer is probably going to get fired at the end of the year. So I think he's on an extremely short leash now.
Yeah. That team is on notice. It's time for them all to produce for the next.
Yeah.
Middleton.
And Budenholzer, So got to the finals at least get to the finals, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because at least, and the thing is, it's still a sense of urgency, even though.
Yeah.
At the same token, you still have a somewhat of a legitimate window, but in the same token, you'll have him there, but in the same token, you still want to keep him there, especially when it's time to re-up in 5 years. You want him to stay there as well. So
Giannis is about what, 20, 25, 26, right?
He just turned 26, matter of fact.
A lot of big years left.
Correct. And that's spooky. Yeah. And it lets me know, like, well, as a Bulls fan, I guess I'll be in the basement for a little bit longer.
Man, the young Bulls, man, I think Billy Donovan is going to push them in the right direction, honestly.
Yeah.
I like those young players, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So, fellas, let's start our Western Conference preview. So, I'm going to go around the horn. So, we're going to talk about our teams to watch in the Western Conference. I'm going to go with you first, Fresh. Your team to watch in the Western Conference.
In the West, I'm looking at Phoenix for sure. I like them adding Chris Paul. I want to see Devin Booker next step. And another team is the Pelicans for me. Just to see if they're going to make that push. Zion being healthy this year. He looks like he's in good shape. So, but those are two teams that were outside the playoffs that I think want to try to get in. So, two teams for sure I'm watching this year.
Yeah. John, who you got as your team to watch?
Definitely Phoenix. Bringing in Chris Paul lets Devin Booker know that they're trying to win now while he's at the age to start building towards that. Houston, because this James Harden thing has to get figured out at some point. Like, I've seen a quick clip of him real quick. He kind of look like he's out of shape right now. Like, he might have been partying a little hard in Vegas. Like, you want to see if it does work if John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are both healthy. You sign Christian Woods to a pretty decent contract. Right. You hoping Eric Gordon is healthy this year. PJ Tucker is PJ Tucker. Maybe he makes some shots in the playoffs this year. You never know. And I just think that, and Houston is about at the end where their window is closing with James Harden. Right there. James Harden is pushing 32, 33. It's only so long he's going to be able to score 50 every other night.
Yeah. JB, who you got your team to watch?
So this team, my team to watch actually this year, they made the playoffs last year, and I'm looking for them to like actually make a push to be one of the upper tier teams of the West. I'm actually looking at the Mavericks. I really like what they did in the offseason, especially with swapping out Seth Curry for Richardson. I thought that was a very good move. They needed some more perimeter defense. So I just worry about them a little bit with Porzingis. If Porzingis if Porzingis can stay healthy, I think that they could, definitely move up to like the number 4 to number 3 team in the West. But if he can't, then I would have them at like bottom tier, like 5th, 6th range.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, big time. My team to watch in a weird way is the Clippers.
Yeah,
I think what's funny about it is now, because I want to see now where the expectations aren't as high as it was last year, where this can be somewhat of a normal year, where I don't know if this team can kind of fly under the radar. Obviously with Ty Lue as a head coach there now, so. And then the acquisitions get like Serge Ibaka. That's gonna be. So it's funny, you have a Serge, and then also bringing in Luke Kennard, which that's the thing where they needed shooting on that team. So you get a guy complimentary. I'm being complimentary tonight. Luke Kennard. So
and he can shoot off the dribble too as well, off that pop.
Right. And so, and that's one thing too. And I look at where it can Surge in a sense. I'm not gonna say like he could be the next Trez, but I think he can at least step up defensively. Yeah, like what Trez has done. I don't know, as far as
defensively. That's what they could use in that series last
right.
I actually like that move. I actually like Montrezl Harrell better than I actually like Serge over Montrezl Harrell. Like you look at Serge, Serge is more dynamic offensively. Like he can, score off of pick and rolls. He actually has a jump shot, which Montrezl Harrell doesn't have, and also he gives them a different element. Defensively, he's actually a 7-footer that's very long, that is the threat of him blocking shots. So I think that their final 5 this year, I actually like the idea of them closing games with Morris and Ibaka as their 4 and their 5. So
yeah, and then also I think just the heightened expectations aren't there, and it's funny because in a weird way it's flip flopped, because now like the Lakers are now like kind of how we looked at the Clippers, because we like, they're so deep, and that's how we looked at the Clippers last year, where we were like, okay, well, you got Trez, you got Lou, you got you got them off the bench, and we knew like they would at least give you about 36 combined potential.
It's probably not as many people still picking them to win the finals, but they still expected to win the finals. Paul just got some money. Kawhi has his power. They need to make the finals this year also.
Right. And that's a weird thing about it. And then also, to you guys' point, Phoenix, I like, as far as acquisition of getting like Chris Paul and then also Jay Crowder, which to me, they're like E-check guys for a young team like that. That's perfect. They need those type of guys who want, so when they kind of, I won't say pick on Devin Booker, they got a bunch of dogs behind them. So, right. And then, then also, I think there's an emergence of guys like Mikal Bridges. I think he's going to be, and then my boy Cameron Johnson, my little nephew, Cameron Johnson. I think he's gonna excel as well. And I really just like
this year with Chris Paul in that pick and roll. Like
I do, and DeAndre Ayton,
DeAndre Ayton the ball where he needs to get it, where he get up to about 19 to 21 points this year, honestly.
And they're gonna definitely be a fun team to watch. They'll be like what like Bill Simmons used to say, a league pass team. For sure. It'll be kind of interesting for that. But yeah, man. So and then also I
was just saying, like, the only thing I worry about with the Suns, I definitely think we probably all have the Suns in the playoffs. One thing I worry about with the Suns is what happens if Chris Paul gets hurt and he has to miss a substantial time. He's not the most. He's he basically, man, like he's a bit injury prone. I hate to say it. I love Chris Paul, but like, what happens if he misses like 3 or 4 weeks of the season? Like, I don't know where you guys have them at, but I have them kind of lower tier. I have them like probably the 7th seed in the West.
Yeah.
If he misses substantial time, like, does that doom them? That's the one thing I worry about with the Suns. But I definitely think if they stay healthy, then they should make the playoffs this year.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And then another team I'm interested to watch is Denver. I think now I look at just the coming off the Western Conference Finals last year.
Right.
Then, of course, the usual suspects, Murray, Jokic, and then also seeing Michael Porter Jr. emerge, and then the other guys like, who I really like, who I think will kind of somewhat emerge in a sense, PJ Dozier. I really like what he was doing.
I liked him in the playoffs. He was definitely a step up from Torrey Craig, because Torrey Craig offense was
terrible.
Dozier was knocking down shots when he needed to knock down shots, and he was playing defense. I think what messed Denver up a lot, what people seem to forget, Will Barton is a big part of that offense as far as running it, initiating plays. And he didn't play in the bubbles at all. He didn't play in the bubble at all. He missed the whole bubble. And then Gary Harris being hurt. I'm not saying they would have beat the Lakers, but if you add Will Barton to that team with Michael Porter playing how he's playing, they could have probably stole another game off the Lakers, game or two. They could have took it to 7.
True. Potentially.
Yeah.
And then is the world ready for another bold Twitter explosion?
I think about time for one. Taco Fall starting tonight in Boston, so it's
oh my God, that was crazy. That's probably one of the most favorite moments is when he clocked in the first time, and everybody's like, a legend is getting ready to enter. I'm like, what the hell? Like that's Twitter for you in a nutshell.
It is.
Ball is gonna play more this year. Think he's gonna take a step?
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting though.
I honestly think you take Twitter away from it. I think Bobo is a really good player. Honestly, like he can shoot, he can dribble, like he actually can do those things. Like it was a joke, but I think he's not a legend, but I think he can be a good rotational piece, especially replacing Mason Plumlee in that roster.
Yeah, man, that's how it was, man. Like we talked about last week about as far as like the legendary. Like we talked about last week, we talked about Bubble beat TJ Warren was better than Jordan in '98. I'm like, come on, guys, knock it off. Like that's Twitter for you in a nutshell. But yeah, man. So yeah, that's the teams I'm looking forward to watch this year. And then also, teams to watch. The biggest acquisition in the Western Conference as far as the individual standpoint, team standpoint, or what have you. I'm gonna go with you first, JB. Your biggest acquisition.
I'm gonna defer. I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear what
All right.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
The West
Fresh.
The West was kind of quiet compared to the East. A lot of people went East. So the best acquisitions to me kind of were in what Portland did collectively, adding 17, Terry Jones Jr. and Kantner. I think that, and then bringing Melo back, Harry Giles, giving themselves a more complete team. And then I like the move of adding Stan Van Gundy to the Nets on a coaching move instead of a player move, just because he has experience with leading teams to the playoffs. I like what I see now in New Orleans so far in the preseason with him. And I think he could be good for Zion and Brandon Ingram. But the West was kind of quiet to me compared to the East. Chris Paul was a good acquisition, obviously, but that's an easy one.
Yeah. John, who you got?
Back to his point about New Orleans with Stan Van Gundy. I actually and Steven Adams as a center, letting Derek Favors go back to Utah. I think Stan Van Gundy is going to have this team play the best form of themselves as good as they are this year. He's got to put Zion in spots where he can get downhill, get to the rim, offensive rebound his own shots, get some dunks. A lot of pick and roll with Lonzo. Brandon Ingram, I think he's a certified wing scorer at this point. I think we're going to see at least another 23, 24 from him. I guess the question is, how good is their bench going to be with Josh Hart? I'm guessing J.J. Redick is coming off the bench.
No, he's going to start.
J.J. Redick going to start
because he's old, so he's not playing.
Nigel Walker-Alexander got to step up this year. Jackson Hayes. I think the bench is going to be a really big determining factor how good they are. I think Stan Van Gundy was that one. And then Portland again, bringing in players that they've been needing for 3-4 years now. Robert Covington, defender, shooter. Derrick Jones, an active player. He's going to block some shots, get some rebounds, run the break, good utility player. Dunk on some people, definitely. Bringing Enes Kanter back, who I don't care how many. If he played 15 minutes, again, you 10 and 10 automatically. And Harry Giles is a good energy big man come backing up both. I guess basically taking Zach Collins' spot while he's out for the beginning of the year.
Yeah. All right, JB.
So yeah, like the West was extremely quiet. I liked some of the lower key moves. Like I liked the Clippers getting Luke Kennard. I think that he'll help them out, especially in the regular season. They need another ball handler, a guy who could shoot. I really like what the Blazers did with Derrick Jones Jr. Signing him, I thought he actually should have played a little more last year in Miami. But one move that I really liked, the Nuggets. Even though they lost Jerry and Grant, I really like them replacing Jerry and Grant with JaMychal Green. I think JaMychal Green will help them out a lot. He's a solid player off the bench, and you can play him at center sometimes too. So yeah, but I would say probably the acquisition that I really like the most. I like the Lakers replacing Dwight Gasol with Dwight Howard. Like I actually, if they hadn't signed Gasol, I actually would have a lot more concerns about them because that would probably mean they're playing Trez at the 5 a lot. But like with Gasol has slipped a lot offensively, but he is going to provide the same defense that Dwight Howard did, and he can shoot, and Dwight Howard can't. So I really like that move a lot.
That's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think mine, I kind of talked about it earlier. I think what the Suns did. I think Chris Paul and definitely, of course, Jay Crowder as well. Where, like I said, these heat check guys. You know, when Book and Aiden, when people try to get in their face, that's not with them two involved. Like, that's not gonna happen. But definitely a team that was definitely kind of on the verge of making the playoffs last year, and then adding those type of 2 veteran key pieces. And it's definitely gonna help the young guys. As you know, I talked about earlier, it's gonna definitely help those young guys become better pros. You know, you're gonna learn. They're gonna be sponges. You know, especially with the eons of experience of Chris Paul and also with Jay Crowder. So those, you know, big time.
It was important for Miami's run. You know, he had his moments where he made some shots, made some defensive moves. He take those charges. Like you say, he'll jump in somebody's face for you if they trying to rough up Booker or whatever. So Jay and, you know, Chris Paul, just the leadership factor and accountability you're going to get with him. This is what a young team needs, trying to take that next. It's like kind of like how we talked about Rondo to Atlanta last week, or even the Philly. Having a player to hold the young players accountable is important. So
big time.
Yeah. Oh, and I have another one that I forgot about too. I like New Orleans, and I actually thought that this was going to hurt New Orleans. Derek Favors actually went back to Utah, and I think that was a low key very good move because Utah had kind of slipped a bit. They decided last year their strategy was like, we're going to replace a lot of our defense with our offense because they couldn't keep up with teams like Golden State and Houston in the playoffs, and their defense slipped. And I think Derek Favors, even though he was hurt last year, Derek Favors is still a very solid defender. And if Rudy Gobert gets into foul trouble or he's hurt, he gives you like a nice option of a guy who knows he moves the sweep well and he knows what he's doing. So I thought that was a good move for Utah.
Oh yeah, forgot about that one.
Yeah.
I like Derek Davis. He a local Atlanta native. Sticks. That's what we talk about.
All right. So, and it's funny in the West, which this is going to be kind of weird because how can you really equate an overrated team? So it's going to be one of the things where we're going to have varying of opinions, but it's just weird. Like the West, at least with the East, it was a little bit different because we know the East only has a few teams when you look at it from a contending standpoint. But I mean, we can really make the case for like 10 teams to make it the playoffs or more.
Yeah,
that 10th seed this year for the West is going to be so important because of the it could mess around and beat the Spurs seriously. Like,
and that's the spooky thing about it all is like you just don't know when, so who knows? But so. This one, I'm gonna go around the horn. The overrated team in the Western Conference. I'll go with you, Fred. Go with you first, Fresh.
All right. If I'm gonna pick an overrated team, I'm thinking of a team. For me, I'll go with a team that was in the playoffs last year that I could see falling out this year. So I'm gonna go with Utah. because I've seen Utah is one of the closest teams I can see maybe being a little lower than I expect. I expect a good year from Donovan Mitchell. Mike Conley wasn't great last year at all, and he's a year older. Rudy Gobert, he's great defensively, but he leaves a lot to be desired offensively. And I'm a big fan of Joe Ingles. So, but they finished fifth last year, and the West getting better.
Right.
You got to really hope that Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell continue to mesh. You know, they had some issues last year that we don't have to speak of coronavirus. So, I guess to put a team out there that I think could finish lower than they did last year, I'll say Utah because I can see them making the playoffs, but I could see them not finishing top 5. So that's a kind of cheap pick, I guess.
Yeah. John, who you got?
Overrated. I'm gonna go with another playoff team. Even though I really do I think this team can be good if everybody does what they play their part and do what they're supposed to do. I think Houston is a team that could fall out of the playoffs.
Yeah, that's my
James Harden clearly doesn't want to be there. He can't even fake it at this point. We still don't know if John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins are gonna be healthy. We don't know if Eric Gordon is going to be healthy as well, so it could be James Harden out there by himself a lot of nights. Steven Silas, who I do like as a head coach, he still has to prove himself that he can run an offensive team.
Yeah.
So I can see Houston. Houston was at 4th. I can see them dropping down to 8 or 9, honestly.
Yeah, big time. JB, who you got?
This is a tough one because this is just overrated. Are we also doing a team that's going to disappoint?
Well, no, we're gonna have a sleeper, but no, not
no. Yeah. Okay, so I guess what I'm gonna say is I like what both of them said. I think that Utah and Houston both could drop off. Now I'm more. If you had me wager money, I would put my money probably on Houston because Quinn Snyder, he's just a really, really good underrated coach, and his team's always overperformed. So I can't see them tumbling too much unless something catastrophic happens injury-wise. But I would say overrated, just from the standpoint, this team is going to be a playoff team, but I don't think that they were as good as last year. I'm going to say Denver. I think that Denver is probably going to finish with a top 4 seed in the West, but I think that, and I hate to say this, I think that what me and you talked about this, Chris, I think that you can't really read too much into what happened in the bubble last year. Yeah. And I think that Denver is a team that actually, let's just be honest, if the players had been a regular situation last year, I don't think there's any way that they come back from 3-1 back-to-back times. I just really don't. And
you're right.
Yeah, and I just think that they made the conference finals. I could easily see them getting knocked out in the first round because it's they can't win. They only win series if it goes 7. So I just think that they're gonna have a good regular season, but I think that them making the conference finals, and I think that people, you kind of want to get better. I have a hard time seeing them get better. I think they're going to get worse this year. But yeah, I would say Denver, and I would say my other team would probably be Houston.
Yeah, and that's a consistent. I think Houston, because we look at it, and the thing about it is, you look at it from a roster perspective. When we look at it, you have a backcourt of John Wall and James Harden. A lot of people are gonna think, well, they're gonna think of that as as a good, as a team that could do some damage in the Western Conference. But the weird thing about this conference is just so deep. A part of me, I hate saying this. This is a team that didn't make the playoffs, but everybody's expecting a lot from this team. I don't put it this way. They're gonna make the playoffs. That's why I want to preface this right now. Golden State.
I knew it. I knew you.
Okay. Now, a lot of people, which for some odd reason, so doing some copious research, and a lot of people are really expecting this team to be second behind the Lakers in the division. I'm
I think,
but that's what.
Though, so but second is a bit high for to say. They're definitely going to make the playoffs.
They're going to make the playoffs, but there's people thinking that they're going to contend with the Lakers in the Pacific Division. And I'm I don't think so. It's probably, I can see them being, their ceiling is probably 3rd. because I still think the Clippers are still going to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, right. And that's why, like, a part of me, I see it, and I'm just like, and the thing about it is, it's going to, people, I don't know, for some odd reason, in a weird, mythical kind of people believing in unicorns, but they just think, like, this Kelly Oubre is going to, like, really replace Klay Thompson. I mean, he's a viable option. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. But he's no Klay Thompson. And the thing is, they're just going to suffocate Stephen Curry. They're just going to suffocate him defensively. And the thing is, and then they're going to have to, between him and Wiggins, they're going to have to be finishers. They're going to have to finish, and they're going to have to make these shots.
Yeah, right.
Are they going to be able to do this on a consistent basis? And I like the both. Don't get me wrong. I like Oubre and I like Andrew Wiggins. But they're no Klay Thompson. And I'm like, they're going to make the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. But the people was like, you know, I'm like, and I hate saying that. But like, that's the thing. That's what's so weird about the Western Conference. And I'm going based on a lot of preseason predictions from other people saying, well, they'll probably be, you know, at like a top 3 seed in the Western Conference. I'm like, yeah. Well,
actually, yeah. Well, actually, I was listening to a podcast about a week ago, and this is a pretty good podcast. John Hollinger does it with Nate Duncan from the Dunked On podcast, and they were actually going back and forth on this. Hollinger actually said that he thought there was a very good chance the Warriors were going to miss the playoffs because of what happened to Klay Thompson. And he made some intriguing points. He was saying that he didn't think they were going to be as good defensively, minus Klay Thompson, and he said he just thought that basically what you just mentioned, that teams are just going to blitz the hell out of Curry, and they might have a hard time scoring in like half court offense in crunch time. Right. So I think that they're going to make the playoffs, but I wouldn't say that they're one of the top teams in the West with that team, because, you know, Wiggins has only succeeded when he's actually Wiggins is good when he's like the third or fourth option. You're expecting him to be the number 2 guy this year, so.
Right. Yeah. Well, right. You're really expecting a big jump from Wiseman. You're expecting him to be really good. Really
right. And that's why part of me is like you said, I get the Wiseman. Like, a part is they think that he's going to be like a plug and play guy, which if he defensively he could be and getting rebounds, whatever. But he's not going to be a scoring option at this point.
Right. He's definitely going to be down to the rim a lot.
But he will be, I think, down the line will be like their guy. I mean, no question. But for this year, then right. And so the part of me is like, all right, we got to reel it back in. I understand Golden State is, you know, we looked at them as they're a dynasty. They once were a dynasty.
Right.
They, you know, but a part of me is Golden State. I like this team, but I mean, I've been hearing guys talk about, you know, second behind the Lakers in the Pacific, third, fourth seed. Right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I really have to speak on stuff like this, because I'm like, no, like, that's not going to happen. That's why I kind of put them in this overrated category, even though in the grand scheme of things, they're still going to probably be a playoff team, and they're going to improve from last year, no doubt. But it's like, and that's how crazy the West is, where the heightened expectations of a team that didn't make the playoffs are so high to a point where, damn, I got to make them really overrated, because everybody's looking at them as if, like, you know, it trips me out, but, you know, it is what it is. But yeah. So, all right. So, fellas, the sleeper team in the Western Conference. I'm gonna go with you first, JB.
I'm going with Dallas. I think that if Dallas stays healthy, I think Dallas will make like that. I think Dallas will make that jump. Now, I don't think they're going to have as good as offense, because they had like a historically good offense. They basically substituted Curry out for Josh Richardson. But I think Dallas, if they stay healthy, I think that they're going to make that leap. I believe last year with a 7th seed. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making that jump into the 3rd seed this year.
Yeah, big time. All right, Fresh, who you got?
I was going to say Dallas also. I'm gonna try and think of another team just to give different. But I'm really high on Dallas this year, because I think Luka could easily had an MVP season last year. So
he
can easily do it again. So a sleeper team in the West. I'm gonna go with the Pelicans. As far as the sleeper team, maybe getting a higher seed than we think. Maybe I think most think they can contend for the 8 seed, at least 9 to play in. Yeah. But if everything goes right for them, maybe they can get to 6, 5.
Yeah.
Not Western Conference Finals or anything, but maybe put pressure on someone in the first round. So I'm gonna go with the Pelicans just as a different pick, but my honest pick is
Dallas. All right, John, who you got?
Sleeper team. That's the tough one. Man, I'm going. I know this sounds crazy. I'm going San Antonio. I think I think San Antonio is going, like I say, it's going to mess somebody's season up because of that 10 seed. I think Pop is still a good coach, high-level coach. I think he's going to be ready to coach again this year. I think the last time Deontay Murray was playing a full season, he was second team all defense. I think he gets that back. I think he gets to the bucket a little better this year. I just think the Spurs is really gonna miss somebody. DeMar DeRozan was really good, and he's feeling disrespected right now with that ESPN top 100 list. Yeah. What did he do last year? 23, 6, and 7, like 7 assists. So I think LaMarcus Aldridge wants to get back to the playoff line. He done kind of fell off some lists as well, as far as ranking power forwards go. And I think Pop just gonna be ready this year. But Dallas is also my honest pick because I don't see Luka getting any worse, honestly.
The crazy point about the Spurs, though, this season is going to be weird. So it's going to be about a team that's like really disciplined and prepared, and who's more prepared than the Spurs for everything. Yeah. So it's going to be a weird season with COVID, and the Spurs have some players, some young players, and it's always a team that surprises you like the Thunder did last year. So I'm not mad at the Spurs pick, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting. And this was like it's so weird. Like it's funny. Like when we do these, I have to not paraphrase, but I kind of have to kind of give a pretext.
Right.
Yeah. Low key, even though it's funny to sound, but I think Utah in a weird way, and it's almost kind of the inverse of what you were saying, Fresh. Because a part of me thinks that Collie can get it right.
Right.
A part of me thinks that he can have a better season next year, and then the thing about it is, even though because they're really that big acquisition, the only acquisition was Derek Favors in a weird way how these teams kind of have positioned themselves. They kind of one of the quiet teams as far as making moves in a sense. Yeah. So bringing that was kind of that coupled with Donovan Mitchell, of course, he's going to be a guy that just, he's going to just give you a bucket. He's a bucket.
Yeah. And then, Clarkson also, and he was good for them last year. So.
Yeah. And then Bogdanovich comes back from injury. So, so part of me is like, and like you said, in a weird way, because if you look at from the standpoint of, because they were the 5th seed last year, but then it's like you look at it where they kind of they was what they were the 5th
seed? 6th seed. They were the 6th seed. They were the 6th seed. Yeah, they were the 6th seed last year.
So they were the 6th seed. So then you're thinking of just everything else, the other acquisitions in the conference, and you think to yourself, okay, 9 times out of 10, you would think this team would be outside the playoff picture. So that part of me, and how I have them slotted, you would it would make sense to me kind of have this team as a sleeper, even though they might be in the same spot they were last year.
Yeah. Right.
But when you look at just the improvement of other teams, and then coupled with bringing Golden State comes back into the fray, and the only really team that really is literally out of it is Oklahoma City.
Right. Yeah.
But that they, who knows?
They can also.
He might do his thing.
I
don't know, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. As far as when we look at teams that can at least contend for that 7 to 10 slide.
Right. Yeah,
right. But I'm just saying they might be 15th, but I digress.
I think
it might be the best 15th seed in the Western Conference.
I think Memphis is to watch with John Morant and Jaren Jackson get back healthy. I like their young players. They could make a push for that 7-6 seed as well.
Yeah, they can make a push as well. So, all right, fellas. So let's talk about. So we'll have our seedings for the Western Conference, and this should be very, very interesting. Like, because there's so many different types of variables that comes into this equation. So,
right.
All right, I'm gonna go with you first, JB. Yo, 1 through 8 in the Western Conference.
All right, man. This is
Pressure.
I've been thinking about. Okay, so I'm gonna go Lakers 1.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go Clippers 2. Okay, I'm gonna go Denver 3. I'm gonna go Dallas 4. I'm gonna go. What else do we have? 5th seed. I'm gonna go Utah 5.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go Portland 6. Man, it's tough, man.
All right.
Okay. Then I'm gonna go Golden State 7. And AFC, I'm gonna, even though I don't think this is gonna happen, I'm gonna go with my squad. I'm gonna go with New Orleans in the AFC.
All right.
So those are my playoff season. This is gonna blow up in my face. I'm not looking forward to watching this like in 5 months.
So I'm gonna go with you first, Fresh. Who you got?
So I got Lakers 1. I think we all probably agree on that.
Yeah. Right.
2, I'm gonna go Clippers again. 3, I'm gonna give it to Dallas. Big year from Luka. 4.
This
4 is where it gets tough.
Yes.
4,
7 is always tough.
4, I'm gonna go Denver. Denver at 4. I'm gonna put Portland at 5. I think they can have it. They stay healthy, good regular season. I respect Steph Curry enough to put him at 6 this year.
Okay.
Especially during the regular season. Playoffs, they might lose in the first round. 6, Warriors. This is where it gets tough for me.
7 and 8.
I'm gonna go 7. 7. I'm gonna go Phoenix.
All right.
8. 8. I put in Utah.
Okay.
Utah 7.
You got Houston out?
Yeah, Fat James Harden not making the playoffs this year.
Nah, not at all.
You right, playing game. You right.
In the playing game, yeah. So John, who you got? Who your 8?
Like Lakers number 1,
Mhm.
Clippers number 2, number 3. I'm gonna go Dallas number 3.
Okay.
I got Golden State at 4. I think as long as Steph is healthy, Draymond Green is gonna play like he know how to play basketball this year. I think that's gonna be the key to Andrew Wiggins.
That's true.
Draymond Green not the pick and roll. If he don't decide to take, call in, they should be okay. I got Denver at 5. I think Denver kind of is in that weird spot where Jamal Murray is almost an all-star, but he's not quite an all-star because he's not consistent. Like, he was dropping 50 at the bubble. We expect him to average 35 during the regular season. Show of hands, nobody? No. Jamal Murray, nice point. I think Jokic's gonna have a big year. I think he's gonna be near triple-double this year. I think he's gonna be like an assist off. I got 6. I got Portland 6 seed. I think they're gonna upset Dallas in the first round. In honor of Rasheed Wallace, who didn't put Dallas out that last year. 7, I got Phoenix at 7. I think Chris Paul is good enough to help them get to the playoffs. I don't think he can push them to home court advantage. 8. I got the Spurs at 8 because I think they're gonna win that play-in game. So I got the Spurs making the playoffs.
Okay.
So I got Utah. He feel okay out this year. I don't know why when you said San Antonio that first time, that made me really get to thinking like everybody is gonna be healthy. Lonnie Walker, Deontay Murray, LaMarcus Aldridge, DeMar DeRozan. This is the playoff team. They've made the playoffs already. Rudy Gay's back. Jakob Poeltl is a good defender. He's big. Any big man on Boston.
The Spurs are not a bad team. They're not at all.
And that's another thing too, where like you're saying, that's just how deep the West is. And it's funny because we talked about this in a bubble, like at the end of it, we can literally say like 15 teams can make the playoffs
every year in the West.
in the Western Conference. Legitimate.
I got Memphis, right?
Yeah, and right. And Memphis is on the fringe.
Yeah,
so
Ja Morant is exciting out there.
Yeah, absolutely. My number one seed is the Lakers. Obviously. 2 is the Clippers. 3 is Denver. 4, I got the Mavs. Number 5, the overrated Golden State Warriors. So that's crazy. But 6 is Portland.
Yeah.
6 is Portland. The Jazz is 7th, which the sleeper. Right. That's just shows you how complex it is. And then 8th is Phoenix.
So nobody has the Pelicans making it. No Zion.
But they're on the fringe, though. That's the thing where that's what's so a lot of it is really because it's so strange. Like no one, in essence, like the bubble playoff team, except for Houston and Oklahoma, they're the only 2 that fell off. And then you bring in Golden State back. It's like, where's the room? It's so crazy, but it's going to make it exciting. That 7 through 10, which I mean, in that 7 through 10 bunch, I mean, you look at I got teams like Pelicans are right at there. Then also, call me crazy,
Sacramento.
Yes, I don't know, but the thing is, even though I'm curious. Because I'm curious about Halliburton.
Yeah, he's a player.
I don't know if he's going to make an impact this year necessarily, but I like that going forward with that team. And then also Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox,
Bagley's healthy.
Marvin Bagley.
Hey,
You're right. I know it's there.
He has to be healthy, I think.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, like offensive rebound, put back. He's that guy
running the floor with
De'Aaron. I think Harrison Barnes is really the key, honestly. Like, is he a $25 million man that's just gonna give you 15, or can he kind of get back to 19 and 9? Or do they? I think they might just have to move him. Like Harrison Barnes might be the odd man out.
All right. Leave my little nephew alone. My love. I know, but you're right though. I'm just playing with you, man. You know me.
They can compete.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Sacramento is kind of they're in a weird spot where, like you're saying, it's to a point where this is kind of a make or break in them in a sense, because now Joe Dumars is there, which that's your boy though, right? That's your boy, John. You love him. You get you talking about Joe Dumars last week. You talking like that's your boy.
But you know what's funny about Joe Dumars being there though? He actually doesn't have any power. He's just like has a title. Like he just has an office space.
Yeah, and that's the thing where you look at just the influence, and then who's to say, like, because they're in a weird spot, like, because now you think about if you don't make the playoffs, like, it's time for Luke to go.
Getting fired, people getting
then now. Mm-hmm.
And I think that he's gonna go, man. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm actually lower on Sacramento is because like their coaching staff and just like their front office is just like it's been a dumpster fire for years, man. Like I just think that they don't really have a direction. The last time I heard Buddy Hield wants out, so we don't know what's gonna happen with that. So I actually have San Antonio a bit higher. I would have like Sacramento maybe 11th or 12th in the West.
Yeah. And it's just weird. And then, but I'm really curious about Halliburton. I like him, and that was one of the things where I think a lot of us looked at him like from the draft perspective. We're like, okay, well, where he goes, it's gonna be intriguing where he goes, and him falling to Sacramento is very, very interesting. To say the least. But yeah, man, that's gonna be interesting though. But the West is just so stacked, yo. It's so crazy. It's the year where you kind of like you want just the best 16 teams to make the playoffs, regardless of the conference.
If the best 16, how many teams get in? 4?
Probably. I mean, seriously, like, because you got. I mean, even though, and it's funny, even in a 72 game shortened season, you might have some teams like them bottom feeders in the West winning about 40 games.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
I wouldn't say 40 games.
Maybe 35-ish, 30. Well,
35. I could say.
35,
I would
36.
say. Yeah, I could. I could see that. I could see that. Yeah, the bottom feeders. I can't see. Yeah. How many games do you guys think the eighth seed gets this year?
In the West?
That's a good question. In the West, yeah.
Ooh.
Somewhere around 42. 40.
Yeah, because it's 72 games this year. So part of me is like,
yeah, 72.
So if it's 72 games, because if you're 500, what you would be? I'm doing some quick math. You'll be what 30,
36. 72, 36, 36. Yeah,
36. Yeah, so right. That's what I'm saying.
I see the AC wins about 40, 41 games. Yeah.
Right. So it's almost it would be almost if it's like a normal case where most times, even in an 82 game season, they're winning maybe what 45 is right around that.
You might have that rare AC that gets you 50 wins. Honestly, I remember Golden State missed the playoffs with a 50 win season. So
Phoenix missed it with 48.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately, yeah, because you would think that team would be at least 4 games over 500 potentially if you were to do it that way. I don't know. That's what's weird. It's like it's going to be in that frame. I'm probably between 36 to 40.
I think 36.
Yeah. I think so. And I think that we're forgetting the last year actually. Portland got that eighth seed, and it took them playing there. I think what did Portland finish with 35 wins last year? They were 35 and 37 or something like that. Or
like that. Yeah, because they were what 5 games out or something like that. 5 more.
Yeah, and they went, I think 7-1. They went 7-1 in the bubble. So like to get them to like 35 and 37. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. How many games? How many games do you guys think the Lakers win? What do you think the Lakers' final record is this year?
72 game season. I
can see them winning 50.
60.
Yeah, me too.
I can see them winning.
Yeah,
what's gonna be interesting? Yeah,
54. I can see them 55.
Especially now with the depth that they have, they're gonna be able to win games. Even because you would assume like LeBron's gonna probably miss the beginning stretch of the season potentially, and so a part of you like they could kind of skate back some wins, but just off that depth alone.
Yeah,
but yeah.
I think they're gonna win 50, but part of me, I've been listening to just like with different people's perspective. One perspective that I've heard that I actually kind of agree with. Maybe they wanted to set an example last year, get off to like a fast start. I don't think it's gonna be that same urgency this year. So I could see them like actually losing a lot of the close games that they won last year in the regular season. I would say I think they'll win. I think they'll win between 49 and 53 is what I think that they'll win.
Yeah. That sounds good. Yeah, that's why I figure it's gonna be right in that range where it's weird. It's almost in a weird but strange way. It's almost like they're really trading places with the Clippers of last year because like the Lakers and the Clippers kind of was like pacing themselves last year, and I think the Lakers are gonna do a lot of that in the beginning. I was saying earlier about the depth. I think the depth is definitely going to help them win. These some of these kind of strange, bizarre games that they'll probably get themselves into. But it's gonna be interesting, and that's one thing too, where it just is so crazy, like how they kind of flip flop. It's like it's so weird, like how the Clippers and the Lakers are now. Like as far as it's almost like you flip a coin. Like this is how we felt about the Clippers last year.
Yeah, definitely.
and then that's how we felt about the Lakers. We knew the Lakers were going to be kind of like, all right, they're going to be sneaking in the bushes, and they were going to, be on the Clippers' tail, figuratively, literally. And it's total complete. opposite, where the Lakers are now. We look at the best team on paper, the depth wise and everything that we said the Clippers were last year. And then now the Clippers are kind of like, okay, they were championship favorites last year. They didn't make it to that. So, and they got something to prove in a weird way, right? In a strange, bizarre way. But yeah, I definitely think the Lakers are gonna at least get to that point. But yeah, it's gonna be definitely interesting. So yes, so fellas, let's put a bow on this week's Western Conference preview. So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with you guys first. Fresh and John, plug the pod, plug social media. Tell us what's going on with you guys tomorrow morning.
Yeah, you can catch us tomorrow morning. We're going live on the Off the Ball Network with the Hoopers Morning Run, 9 o'clock in the morning. You can follow us on Twitter at the Hoopers Pod. Individually, I'm at Worldwide Fresh, WORL Fresh on Twitter.
And on Twitter, Jonathan _W WDUBYA.
Right, but you can follow us at the Hoopers Pod. We just dropped a new episode of our pod last night, I think, episode 67. It's available anywhere you catch podcasts. Just put it in the Hoopers Pod. And we bring that to Anchor, so shout out to Anchor for sure.
And follow us on Instagram at _HoopersIG.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh yeah, I got to follow you on IG. Yes, indeed. JB, social media plug.
I have no social media, only Facebook. You can find me. You can find me on Facebook, Jamie Bailey. But yeah, I don't have Twitter or anything like that. No Twitter, no Instagram.
Man, you missing out on the Twitter, man. Like
Yes.
NBA Twitter is so crazy. Like NBA Twitter is like no other. It's an experience.
I check it through Google sometimes, but yeah, I don't have my own Twitter. So.
But yeah, man, hey, it's almost like how that skit on Chappelle's show about how the internet would be. That's literally how NBA Twitter would be. Essentially, what matters the Ron Jeremy scene and whatever, and all that type of stuff, right, and the cow and the enlargement pills. But other than that, it's the microcosm of that skit. Essentially, man, it's those three little intricate details. Well, you have overreactions like crazy when Bobo enters the game. Twitter blows up. Who else we talked about?
Let's say can't forget TJ Warren.
TJ Warren. Remember we were saying it was 3 guys.
Taco Fall.
Taco Fall, yes. Taco Fall.
It's one more. Alex Caruso. Can't forget
my God. Alex Caruso can do no wrong. Like, that man can go 0 for 15 and they can be like, it's LeBron's fault. I swear to you, it's like that. And it's so crazy.
And that's the part of it. But it's always the players like, why are these players like
getting blown up? Caruso, oh my God, like Caruso, you were literally like Alex Caruso is like, it has a cult-like following, and it is so bizarre. Like, it's so bizarre. Like, and I remember the whole situation of him not going to his sister's wedding, and like everybody was like they were just like they loved him for that. It was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's sacrifice. Like, everybody do this every day. Like everybody in America who has a job has to sacrifice a family event for their job. Like,
yeah,
it's the ball eagle, man.
Right? I'm like, yo, like y'all gotta calm down with this whole.
To be fair, he is a good bench role player. Like his 12 minutes are deserved, but yeah, they got it.
Yes, now get you right. And that's the thing about that's what makes it fun, because in a sense, yeah, he's a great role player, but they gas him as if like he's like an all-star, like he's averaging like 20 a game, and 10 assists. I mean, you think he's a 20 and 10 guy the way they talk about him.
Look at his numbers and it's like 5 and 2, and you like, wait a minute.
I put it this way: if you didn't know, if you didn't watch the NBA and you just went on NBA Twitter, You'd have thought the 5 best players is LeBron James, Taco Fall, Bobo, and Alex Caruso. Like, literally. Like, yeah, mess around and have a fantasy basketball draft with those names.
Oh my god, the worst thing on the league ever. Yeah.
But so definitely follow the podcast, Couch Coach Live, on the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Couch Coach Live. Also the podcast, also check it out on Anchor, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Also YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Couch Coach Live. Also, we talked about the morning run, Off Ball Network, 9:00 tomorrow morning. Also, see you Sunday, this Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard. Well, not 9. That's y'all confused. Actually, it's Saturday at 11 a.m. On Saturday, we'll preview the NBA, the NFL Week 15. Then also Overreaction Monday, Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Off the Ball Network as well. So definitely appreciate you fellas for coming through, man. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live. Western Conference preview.
Yeah, man. Love it. Basketball. Yeah.
We here. I know, right? In empty arenas. But yeah, man. So definitely appreciate you guys. And man, we'll sign off, man. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live.
All right.
Yeah.